Hello guys. We we have an interval for a while and um, I have a couple of trips and challenges, but we are back now. Um, Today we are gonna do the the lesson that is the shepherd's crucible, and I have a little bit of a hard time to understand what crucible means, and that was a little challenge. But um, I figured out that the issue is related to mostly to when they purify gold and they have to pass through fire. Then this is a crucible activity that purify a metal. And then in our case in life, crucibles would be the situations that happen in our life to make us purified or better prepared to be leaders and to face life and face situations and be put in positions to help other people. So that would be crucible. Well, let's start with a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity that we have to study your lesson, to study the Bible, and to learn more about that to put in practice in our lives. We are going to check this Psalm 23, that is a famous psalm, but has a meaning, very deep meaning for our lives. Keep us inspired to understand that and open our minds for us to apply that in our lives. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, once again, is good to be back and to talk about that. I hope you can enjoy the conversation, the explanation, lecture, whatever you think. I'm still planning to have this live one of these days, but my life is not good now to prepare for that. So one of these days we will have that. I try to start with the health part before, and I just wanna make a brief comment about one article that I read today that was talking about breakfast. And then in this article, they kind of reviewed the literature, but this was a work that was done in Australia. And then they figured out that for female, not much, but for male, if they have a good breakfast, I mean a breakfast with cereals, fruits, and bread, and things like that, and nuts, they will have a lower BMI. Probably because they will eat less at night. And they will eat and they will burn their calories right after they eat. The same thing appears not to be true for women. I just talked to one of my students today that, hey, this could be a good topic for us to check here in California and or here in Loma Linda to see if there is a association between eating a good breakfast and a lower BMI. In any case, what we observe is that if you eat more during the time that you are going to do work, is better than if you eat the time that you are going to sleep, and that's the point here. So we should have our best meal in the morning, uh, physiologically talking. sometimes Portuguese comes to these lectures and is complicated. And then when I speak Portuguese, Spanish, and English, and then when we speak too much Spanish, yesterday I was talking to a man only in Spanish, then things get confused. But let's stick with the English for now. Okay, so this study was done in the Sydney Adventist Hospital, and then it was interesting that they were able to find that among male participants, they got this result. So of course, this is one of the things. So you cannot say, okay, eat just a breakfast or eat a bunch of junk during the breakfast and you are gonna be okay. It's just a matter that maybe we should position our meals in the right frame, that we should eat more in the morning. And this is a little bit complicated, even for people that are vegetarians or vegans, because in America you are used to eat more at night. So dinner is kind of where you, or when you sit with your family and everybody is together, and then is a pleasure to eat together. I'm telling you, for the last 10 years I'm trying to skip the last meal. I'm using now 2 meals a day. But when I am with my family, when I am with my children and grandchildren, so it's very tough to be there and to sit with them at the table. Everybody is enjoying, and you sometimes you are hungry, and then it's I can be hungry if nobody is eating, but being hungry and sitting with a lot of people eating is not easy. But in any ways, I'm not saying that people should eat 2 meals a day, but I believe for me, for my body, is good. But the point here is eat more in the morning. We might need to have more time to confirm this, but is still a good idea, or at least makes sense. Okay, so now let's go to the lecture itself. We already introduced some of these aspects, and the main thing in this lecture just during this week is Psalm 23rd. I never memorized Psalm 23rd in English, but I memorized it several times in Portuguese, and I was able to repeat that for years. I mean, maybe now I don't remember anymore. Maybe it's about time for me to memorize it again. But the concepts are there. I mean, if I go by one, I might remember the main part of the psalm, and that's what I am going to discuss with you today. So it's one of the most important psalms in the world, and you see that it has these words that kind of give us the feeling that we are being protected. Like the shepherd leads me in the paths of righteousness. If I am in the valley of the shadow of death, he is with me. He prepared a table before my enemies, and then at the end, he is going to give me the support that I need in life. Let's go for the first part here. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. So the center part here is that I will emphasize here is that I shall not want. Um, you know, if you don't have God, I mean, if you are not close to God, you will look for something. I know a friend that has this idea that he he focuses on buying things, and then once you buy and you shop and you go and shop again and shop again and shop again, you never stop. I mean, you get your Amazon inform, or you get some catalogs, and then you say, oh, but I don't have it, and I don't have it, and so you never have an end. And the same is with the people that go after money. So you want more money and you want more money. Um, I was thinking about these multi billionaires that they have. Can you believe these guys can make $1 billion per month? What is $1 billion per month? Can you believe that? And what can we do extra with that? What can you buy? I mean, after you buy a boat, a house in the beach, a house in the mountain, and a pool in your house, and then you have your children, your grandchildren, you can travel the world. I mean, what else you want? That's why some people now are trying to go to spend millions of dollars to go in the space, and then they pay a ticket, and then they go and they have a tour to the space. And there is also a group of people in line to go to Mars. I can't believe that. Mars is a place that it is not adequate. I mean, as we know, there is no adequate place that we can live as human beings outside of Earth that we know of. Okay, that the scientists or astronauts know of. There is nothing out there that we can go and live. So you better stay on Earth. But because of this lack of satisfaction with the Lord, people go to these ideas. Well, I need more, I need more, I need more. The psalmist was saying, I don't need more. And I put here, I shall not want, I have everything, I am complete, I am whole, I don't miss anything. And then, as the Apostle Paul mentioned in one of his verses, I am content with everything that I have, because I have Jesus Christ in my heart. Can you believe that? You don't need to have a Rolls-Royce car. You don't need to have houses in many places in the world, in Tuscany, in Italy. People say, well, I mean, I have to have a villa in Italy. Uh, the most things that you have, the most headaches that you will have, because you will have that concern that, well, I have to buy insurance, I have to put someone to be in charge, I have to put alarms, I have to put uh, people there that I trust. And can you trust? is tough. So we have to learn to be content. We have to learn to be with the Lord, and He will satisfy our needs. And that's the point. If we are with Jesus Christ, we don't have. I mean, He will satisfy whatever we have. Yeah, but don't you want to have more? Yeah, I will have more. I believe there is a mansion that He is preparing for us in heaven. I don't need to kill myself to get a mansion here with a pool. If I will have a lake or a river in heaven that does not have any problem with chlorine and pesticides and bugs and things like that, because it's going to be perfect. And the mansion He said, Jesus Christ said He's preparing for me. So okay, I'm not gonna have the Rolls Royce. I don't believe we will have Rolls Royce in heaven. but we might not need to have a car like that, because we might be flying around. We might be going to places that we don't need cars and planes and helicopters and things like that. Anyways, I am complete. Are you complete? So we have to check ourselves and see. Well, do you have? I mean, the American dream. I am an immigrant here. The American dream is to have, I mean, all of these things that Americans had, and have the car of the year, and have a pool, and have a good house, and have a boat, have a jet ski, and be able to enjoy life, and go to the lakes, and go to the ocean, and have a yacht. But do we really need all of these things? One time I was in Huntington Beach with a group of friends, and we were having fun there, just swimming and just in the water. And then this friend told me, you know what? What do we need? We pay on that time. We pay $5 to the parking lot here, and we are here for free. And we don't need anything else, and it's fresh. The water is excellent. We have a group of friends. We can do the s'mores later on. We have a pit with that we are gonna make fire later at night, and then we have our family together. We have a picnic together. And the children are enjoying to play in the water and in the sand. Do we need more than that? Anyways, let's move on. So the other part is in the paths of righteousness. He restores my soul and leads me in the paths of righteousness. Why is that important? The story here is related to David when he wrote this psalm, and then he was a shepherd by trade, and then he became a king, but he was a shepherd, and maybe during the time that he was a shepherd, he passed for the crucibles. He passed through the crucibles, and you know what? At least two instances I know that he passed, because they have a lion that wanna attack some of his flock, and he killed the lion. And then he have a bear that came to attack his flocks, and he was able to kill the bear also. So this experience made him to learn something in life. But this verse is related to the sheep. The sheep is it's a creature that does not have much sense of direction, that can get easily lost. That's why it is important to have guides and to have the dogs guiding the sheep, because they are defenseless. If a lion came, or if a coyote came, or a bear, they are in trouble, and then might not know where to go, and they might not go home. Back home they might have a problem. So they need to have a shepherd to protect them. And the same is with us. We need to have a shepherd, that is Jesus Christ, to guide us in the right pathways in life. The only time that I was able to face or see the shepherd and the sheep was in Romania. And then I saw this guy with a bunch of sheep there, with a flock of sheep, and then I went there to take a picture. So when I was getting close to them, the dogs start barking at me, and they started getting crazy, and they came towards me, and then the shepherd saw me, and then he was saying, no, 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 like and a bunch of words in Romanian that I could not understand. But come on, but he was saying that get out of here. We don't want you here. And then I raised my camera that I just want to take a picture, and the guy was adamant, get out! No, 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 no. And then I left because I don't want to be bitten by dogs. I mean that was not a good idea. But that's an illustration, a lively illustration of how the shepherd protect. They don't care who are the person there, or if I am a crazy tourist. They are protecting their flock, and in doing so, they will keep everybody away. Every creature, they have the dogs there. They give the protection. It's an illustration of how God gives us the protection, guide us in the right direction, and you don't need to be afraid. But there is another point here. Sometimes you have to make a decision. This week I sold one of my cars, and it was tough to sell that car because I like it. It was a truck, a Toyota Tacoma truck, that I have it for about 13 years. So we kind of fell in love with the truck. But because I have grandchildren, I have to buy, this was an extra cabin truck. So I have to buy a truck that has double cabin in order to put the car seats to carry my grandchildren whenever I go and when I go visit them. So I bought this bigger Toyota Tacoma. I am a Toyota person. I mean, if you think about that, I think I have all the brands I have had in the past. Toyota, I mean Corolla, Tercel, Camry, and Tacomas are my cars. So I sold my car, but it was not easy to sell at first because unfortunately this car has a salvaged title. I mean, it has an accident in the past, and so they gave me, I bought already with a salvage title, and for those that are no cars, it is very tough to sell a car like that. And then I asked the Lord, guide me, I mean, help me to sell this car. And then I will tell you, the person that sold my car was my daughter. She came. I have put in offer up, and the clients in offer up just want to pay. Um, they didn't want to pay anything for my car. And then it was a Toyota 2002 salvage title, but very good car. I have for 13 years. I put 50,000 miles on it and never had any problem. But people don't trust. I mean, they don't, and they want to buy this car for pennies. But I trust the Lord, and I ask Him, and He put my daughter with me because she is moving to California. And then she took over and she said, Dad, let's put this on Facebook. So there is a Facebook, they have a name and I forgot now. And then he put in Facebook. In 3 days, we have 4 people seeing the car. The 4th one say, it's mine. And he paid $6,800 for a Toyota Tacoma, 4 cylinders, and then with a salvage title. So isn't that marvelous? I have to thank my daughter, but most I have to thank the Lord that guide me and put everything in place, because sometimes we need help of other people. But God guide us to open up for that. In other times I would say, hey, my daughter, I am the father here. I have more experience with cars. I have sold many cars in my life. So you haven't sold any car in your life. Isn't that? You could be like that. But God asks us to be humble. She is the one that will guide you. And she did. And I sold, and I'm happy. In the paths of righteousness. Ask the Lord If you have to make a decision in life, if you have to choose something, if you have to choose a career, a job, a profession, a place to live, a I mean, a husband or a wife or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, um, you put in God's hands and He will guide you. Once you are there, sometimes people do the things and then ask the Lord later. Well, he will help you, but sometimes you are gonna pay for the decision if you did something without consulting, without asking people, without being humble, and let the God put the right people with you to take the right decisions. The paths of righteousness. So let's go to the other one. I mean, then is when we have the struggles in life. The fearless in the valley. Yeah, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil. For you are with me, your rod and your staff, they comfort me. I'm not sure if you have passed this experience in your life. I mean, this is really a crucible experience. Sometimes the Lord allow us, and sometimes the Lord allow us to pass through these tests. And then, do you remember when we studied the lesson a few weeks ago about Joseph? And Joseph was put in a pit. His brothers want to kill him, and then they sold him to foreigners, and he was kind of kidnapped. Not kidnapped because of the other, but kidnapped by his own siblings, and then he was sold, and he went to a foreign land, and he spent there 20 some years before he could see his father, and before he could come back to his senses on that. And what happened? He became the savior of his own family. If it were by Joseph being in Egypt and being a governor in Egypt during the 7 years that they have famine, his family would be dead, and many children will be starving on that time. Can you believe that? So, because there was a struggle, because there was something that happened to 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 Joseph in his youth, but he stayed with the Lord, and that's the secret. When you have struggles, don't worry. I mean, okay, it's not easy to say don't worry, but even if you worry, but you keep with the Lord. You keep pleading with Him and ask Him for a deliverance, and sooner or later is gonna happen. It's gonna happen, and we are gonna see in the one more slides, and we will see another picture of this. Well, the other part is safe from my enemies, and I like to just share here the story that I already mentioned to you in the past about Dr. Hilario, that was a friend in Brazil. He moved to a city as a surgeon. He was a general surgeon in a small city in south of Brazil. And when he moved to that city, I'm not sure if you have seen that, but small cities have a few doctors, and they are overprotective over their clients. So as we didn't have many people living in that city, the doctors were resistant to accept this new guy. So he was a surgeon, he was working in the hospital, he was doing night shifts in the hospital, but he didn't have many clients, because the other doctors were, a very enclosed circle and didn't accept him. But one day, one of these enemies of Dr. Hilario went on a trip, and then in his family, his daughter was very sick, got very sick, and went to the hospital, and she had appendicitis. And then appendicitis is an urgent infection, because is inside of your abdominal. If you have an appendicitis, the infection can go spread inside of the abdomen and cause peritonitis. When you have peritonitis, the bacteria will enter in your blood, and you have a high risk of toxemia and death. So the girl was there. Her father, who could do the surgery, was outside of the country, and now the only person available was my friend, Dr. Hilario. And then they called him. They didn't have any other person. They operate the girl and then save her life. And then from that time on, this enemy that was against Hilario in the city, that was blocking his way, became his best friend. And then Hilario was able to do multiple types of surgeries and work, and he was received in the city. So, safe from my enemies. Many people today, they have the idea that we need to revenge. I have a friend that he is carrying, he has in his hall a big rifle, and he said, if someone enters in my house to harm my children, I have a defense. But sometimes just a defense like that might not be enough. But the point here is that if you have a weapon defense and you don't have a celestial defense, you are kind of putting your efforts in the wrong spot. Why? Well, having weapons at home is a big risk. Is a big risk by itself. You might say, well, what kind of risk is that? Well, I 3 months ago, I think I mentioned here that I have this friend from Brazil whose cousin had a problem when he was young. His brother, that was what, 4 years old, got a pistol that he found in the father's drawer, and shoot him in the head. And then he was about 12 years when he was shot, and then he became epileptic. I mean, having seizures for years. And now now he is about 40 or 35 or 40 years old, and they want to see if they can do a surgery for epilepsy, because that's a new treatment. Epilepsy is a scar tissue that is kind of giving, or at least his epilepsy is because of that. A part of the brain that has a scar tissue because of this shooting, and then is discharging electricity in the brain, and then a person has the seizures. And then we talked to the doctor here in Loma Linda, and they said, well, we have, by the way, this doctor in Loma Linda has a friend in Brazil, and then that he's also a neurosurgeon in São Paulo, and then he asked me to refer this patient to that neurosurgeon in São Paulo. And by coincidence or by God's guidance, this is the same physician that they already consult in Brazil, in São Paulo, in order to have the surgery be done there. Anyways, what I was thinking is that the risk of having weapons is, you might say, okay, I am safe with that. You might be safe, but you might not. You might not. It's a weapon to kill, and a weapon to kill is not good to have around. Anyways, that's my opinion. I'm just saying that the best safety from enemies is trust in the Lord, and He will as he did with Dr. Hilario. He will protect you. He will guide you. He will put the things on the perspective. I remember one time that a guy was assaulted in the street, and then they asked him to for his wallet, and then he said, "Here's my wallet," and I just want to know, I just want to pray for you, because I know that you might have a struggle in life. So I don't care about money. I don't care about my wallet. You can have it, but let me pray for you. and it looks like the bandit was saying, "What? Where are you from? What planet are you coming from?" And it looks like there was. I think the guy got the money and gave back the wallet for this guy. Anyways, let's move to the last one here. That's talking about the final destination. Do you have a final destination? I was traveling now from Denver in Colorado, driving because my daughter is moving from Colorado to San Diego, and I was coming to Loma Linda. And then I'm not sure if you have done this trip across the Rocky Mountains and towards Utah. And the scenery is marvelous and changes. You have stones, you have rocks, and then you have desert, and then you have valleys, and then you have rivers, and it's out of the world, the scenery on that. And it was even good if I was not driving. And I'll tell you, sometimes I was driving and I got my phone and I was recording things. I don't advise anybody to do so, but it was a good experience. But the best experience is that I know that I'm coming home. I was out of my family for a week, and I have to do a conference on that in Kentucky. And then I went to Denver, and from Denver to California we were driving. And then I have my grandchildren waiting for me in my house, and I have my wife, and I have a final destination. When we are out, we always look forward to the final destination. But here, what David said was, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever." But David is dead. How can it be that he is dwell in the house of the Lord forever? Well, first of all, he said he will be with goodness and mercy all days from his life. Sometimes, some days in his life, he messed up, but he repented and he went back to the Lord, and he had the Lord guiding him all the time. But after he died. He had I will say before he died, he had the hope that one day he will live with the Lord forever. And that's the point here. Once you pass through difficulties, you have enemies, you go to the valley of the shadow of death, you have struggles, crucibles, you have things that are not good in this world, but you have a hope that one day those things will not happen anymore. And if you learn to be content with simple things here, you will be content with marvelous things, with gold, with good food, with houses in the mountain, in the beach, and going to perfect environment, without mosquitoes, without rattlesnakes, without mountain lions, without bears, grizzly bears. And by the way, you can enjoy these guys. I mean, you can play with an elephant. You can play with a grizzly bear. Can you play with a grizzly bear? The last time I saw one guy from California that went to Montana, and then sorry to say that, but when he saw the grizzly bear, he got his camera to take a picture of the grizzly bear, and the grizzly bear didn't care about picture, and that was the last picture that he took. I think they found his camera only with a grizzly bear picture. Sorry about that. But in any case, you will be able to play with a grizzly bear because we will live in the house of the Lord forever in a perfect paradise. Okay, guys, that's what we have for today. Thank you very much. God bless you, and let's see next week what we are going to discuss in the Loma Linda Longevity Sabbath School class. Bye-bye.